Hello and welcome to Brainworks Biology. So usually in the exam, the first question would be, how are students understanding the basic unit of structure and function, which is cells? So in the past, people used to think things used to spontaneously regenerate. So people would think things just come out from thin air. For example, people in the past would see meat that has been laid in the ground, and over time they would actually see maggots. So they actually thought, oh, there is some form of spontaneous generation theory that's going on. But we really didn't have knowledge of this of cells back then. We didn't have knowledge of the germ theory. So a lot of people, public health wise, they actually died. So this is actually a very important topic that you're supposed to know, because cells laid the foundation for biology as a science. So for cells, what you're supposed to know is something called the cell theory. So the cell theory, because most of the times teachers would just define what a cell is, but they won't postulate what the cell theory is. So number one, you have to know that all organisms are made up of cells. The second thing that you're supposed to know is that a cell is the basic unit of structure and function. So basic unit, we moved just a little bit, sorry. Okay, we are back. So a cell is the basic unit of structure and function. And the third thing that you're supposed to know is all organisms. So number three, all cells come from pre-existing cells. So there is something called mitosis and meiosis, where all progenitor cells have to come from somewhere. So all organisms are made up of cells. A cell is a basic unit of structure and function, and all cells come from pre-existing cells. Something has to come from somewhere. So we can group cells into two basic units, or two basic types of cells. We have got human cells and we have got plant cells here. So basically your human cells will have a characteristic of a cell membrane, or we can just say animal cells and plant cells. At our level, let's just say animal cells and plant cells. So let's go back and try and answer this question here. So you can see that here we have got a characteristic animal cell because it lacks that cell wall structure here. So it's not rigid, it has got an irregular shape. And here you have got a plant cell here. And you can see it's vertically long, and it has got a lot of these structures here which are called chloroplasts. So here we can even tell that this cell is adapted for photosynthesis. So identify the parts labeled H. So the parts labeled H will be your cell membrane. So you just get your pen properly in the exam and you say cell membrane. Then the question proceeds saying, how does part H differ from part I? How does part H differ from part I? So part I is the cell membrane, part I is the cell wall, and it contains cellulose, whereas H is the cell membrane and it just contains a lipid bilayer. So we're going to say part I is the cellulose cell wall. And because here this is just with 1 mark, so this will actually be enough for you to actually get these marks together. Let's proceed to the rest of the question. We just see what other questions they want us to answer. So the question further goes to say, explain the function of the structure labeled J. So this is the vacuole here. It has many functions, but to simplify, it serves as a storage space. So the vacuum serves to store. It can store a lot of things. So it stores water. It can store mineral salts and sugars. So by it storing these important minerals, it actually helps to keep the cellular environment. It helps to maintain the internal cellular environment. The last question says, to which group of living organisms does cell F belong to? So you can see cell F belongs to animals. So we can say animals. So this has been an introduction to the cell theory and cell biology. Please like and subscribe or follow the TikTok and YouTube page, and kindly book us for personalized past paper tuitions where we'll be interacting one-on-one, talking about biology so that you can get that distinction in the exam. Malpractice free. Thank you very much.